Hello, Harris County. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we present this live cooking workshop with Common Threads. Common Threads is a national nonprofit that provides children and families cooking and nutritional education to encourage healthy habits that contribute to wellness. Common Threads aspires to build communities that embrace healthy cooking, healthy eating, and celebration of culture. All of the recipes links from tonight will be posted, as well as a quick survey that really helps Common Threads to understand the community and to serve you better. So we really encourage you to fill this out. This month, we are celebrating the 1940s, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have Chef Nebraska back with us tonight. Chef Nebraska has traveled all over learning different cultures through food and cooking. She has 4 children and also knows the struggles families face to get meals on the table. After raising her children, she has continued to learn about culinary arts and is attending a program at HCC currently. Nebraska was also the semi-finalist of MasterChef Latino 2019. How cool! Tonight, she will be demonstrating a healthy spin on the typical 1940s breakfast, toast and oats. Women were really starting to join the workplace in this time and needed something easier for the mornings. Before I bring up Chef Nebraska, I wanted to let everyone know that tomorrow is our last day of spring break week programming, and we have 2 special programs for you. At 11 a.m., we are live with Houston Grand Opera as they perform the storybook opera, An Armadillo's Dream. It's great for the kids and can be enjoyed by the entire family. Then at noon, join us for our lunchtime travel program, a monthly series in celebration of the Harris County Public Library's 100th birthday this year. This series features our own talented staff who write, produce, direct, and star in short films that take us through the decades in the life of HCPL, and tomorrow's show is a 1940s extravaganza. It's really something special, so please do join us. But back to the present, tonight's event. I want to encourage you throughout the presentation to post your questions in the comments section as you think of them. Chef Nebraska will answer your questions throughout the program as she is able, and then again after the demonstration if time allows. Please welcome Chef Nebraska from Common Threads.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's
Hi,
so
Chef.
great. Hi, how are you, Taylor?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, and it's so good to be back with you all tonight for another edition of these live cooking classes with the Harris County Library. This week, we are working with the 1940s, and what a great and sad decade that was. Sad because we all know that that was World War II, but also great for us women because the 1940s brought women in a different to a different path. Women had to go to work and had to go to factories and take some of those jobs from men who were overseas during the war. We have so many interesting things to talk about today during our broadcast. And one of those is how our food and maybe the way that we ate in previous decades changed a lot during the 1940s because of the rationing, because of the scarcity of products, and also because women had to work and things had to be faster, and time was not the same for women. So without further ado, let's talk about our menu for tonight. We have for tonight, and let's have ready those recipes. We will have first, let's do our oatmeal pancakes, banana oat pancakes. And why are we choosing oatmeal? Because oatmeal was something that was used a lot during the 1940s. It replaced, in many cases, wheat and corn because, well, those things were rationed, but there were plenty of oats, and it was a cheaper ingredient also to have around. We also have to remember that in the 1940s, Cheerios came out. And I think this year, Cheerios it has the 80th birthday because it really came out in 1941. So we are doing these delicious pancakes. We're also gonna do a spin on the toast and margarine from that time. And we're gonna do something healthier, nicer. We're gonna do our avocado and egg toast. So we can make a spin on that. We can make it with egg, but as I always say, you can make a different thing at home with similar ingredients. And finally, last but not least, we're gonna travel to my country of birth, Venezuela, and we're gonna make some arepas using harina pan, which is a cornmeal that is pre-cooked, very easy. We're gonna depart a little bit from this recipe. I'm gonna make something even more simple, a lot simpler than this. Just water, salt, a little salt, and cornmeal, and we're gonna use the rest of those ingredients that are there as the filling of our arepa. So let's get started with our banana oat pancakes. So if you have your ingredients, somebody on Facebook approached me and asked me for the ingredients before the class. I hope those viewers already have them ready to go. So let's go. I'm gonna turn my camera down so you can see the ingredients and all the mise en place, all the things that are ready. We have obviously, we have bananas that we're gonna mash, and basically we're gonna do our wet ingredients on one side and our dry ingredients on the other, and just basically mix them up. So for dry ingredients, we have 3/4 of a cup of oats, and these quick ones, whole oats, they are very good and easy to work with since they dissolve quite easily. We're gonna have 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour, and when we work with all-purpose flour, I want to give you a little bit of information, and is let's try to buy whole grain flour that is not bleached or bromated. So I am not doing any propaganda for any particular one, but I use this one, and it's a great flour with high percentage of protein in it, whole grain, and the flour has not been bleached. So there you have it. We're gonna add our sugar and baking powder, as well as a pinch of cinnamon and salt. Those are our dry ingredients. So let's go back down and get our measuring spoons, and we're gonna have also a tiny tad of oil. I really like this recipe, and 1 egg for the wet ingredients. So let's get first with our dry ingredients. We have here already the 2 flours, oat and wheat. If you don't want to use wheat, you can use probably almond flour. Remember, you can always change things. This is 1 tablespoon of sugar. You can also use monk fruit if you don't want to use sugar, or stevia, like I just did. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. You can use as much as or as little cinnamon as you want. I'm gonna use about 1/2 teaspoon of the cinnamon. It just gives a wonderful flavor. And by the way, between you and I, guys, I am the queen of the contraband. And you know what contraband is? You know, I put stuff that is healthy inside my things so my kids don't know. So usually I probably add some chia seeds or some flax seeds or something there just to make it better. So, but for today, we're gonna keep it this way. I will tell you about a syrup that I made. That one has chia seeds, but let's continue with the recipe for the pancake. And a little pinch of salt. I'm using today a little bit of pink salt. I like pink salt, so just a little pinch in there. let's put this on the side and mix our wet ingredients. We need 1 egg. There it goes, our protein. We're gonna use 1/2 cup of low-fat milk. If you don't use or don't want dairy product, well, you can use probably coconut milk, almond milk. There are other options. Isn't that great that we have so many delicious products to use? And 2 bananas. But I already have them here, peeled and mashed. So let's add those bananas. One tablespoon of oil. Let's go. Canola oil, the recipe calls for. If you want to use avocado oil or even olive oil or coconut oil, that's also a very good option. And we have to add some delicious flavor to it, some vanilla extract. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And that's pretty much it. Let's mix this. There are a little bit of lumps in there. Don't worry about it. Nothing is gonna happen. All of that is gonna be delicious. Such a great recipe. And we're gonna mix the wet ingredients really well, but we're not gonna overwork our batter. We don't want tough pancakes. We want them to be fluffy. So if the batter looks a little bit lumpy, it's absolutely fine. Would you like to try maybe some whole wheat flour? Maybe, but you know, when you use whole wheat, it's a lot heavier, and you might need to add maybe more leavening agent, more baking powder, or maybe even add some baking soda. So let's go back and see what we did. So we already put the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients together. We're just gonna combine them without overworking them. And I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator, and I'll be back with you guys. Just give me 1 minute and I'll be back. So 15 minutes for that. Let's get started with our avocado toast. And let's talk a little bit about the 1940s, since it's our decade, and how many great things also happen in there, how many advances in medicine, and some of the vaccines became, the research became stronger, and some vaccines came out. Penicillin became more mainstream. So many of these soldiers' life got saved because of it. So we get, for our toast, we're gonna use a whole grain bread. And here I have a 23 grain, and it's important that we read our labels when we buy bread, because sometimes it say whole wheat, and then when you go back and you read the label, it says something like enriched flour, and a bunch of ingredients that we don't even understand. So that might not be very good. But this, it says in the label, whole wheat flour, water, you know, a little bit of pumpkin seeds, millet, it has molasses, really ingredients that you guys can understand and can pronounce. Sometimes when I read some of those labels and I cannot even understand what they mean, it's like, I'm not getting that. So let's bring this down. and get a beautiful seed. Look at this beautiful bread. Isn't it nice? Oh, I have here a question from one of our, what is the difference between baking powder and baking soda? Can I switch them one for one? Well, no. Baking powder acts different than baking soda. Baking powder, when you do goods or bake goods with baking soda, you need to bake those things immediately because there is no retardation. It doesn't have the acidity ingredient that has baking powder. Baking powder is basically baking soda with some acid ingredient. So if you ever run out of baking powder, all you need to do is get the amount of baking soda and add cream of tartar or an acidic ingredient. It can be vinegar maybe or lemon juice. They both are, yes, they're both are leavening agents, but they act in a different way. When you use baking soda, you have to bake your goods immediately and put them in the oven. When you use baking powder, you have a little window of opportunity between preparing your batter and putting those ingredients in the oven. So that's pretty much the difference. Also, you don't want a lot of baking soda because it gives a kind of salty and funny flavor to things. So I'm gonna use, look, a multi-use pan. I love that. And why? Because sometimes you don't need a toaster, and sometimes you don't have a toaster at hand. So I really love using a pan or a griddle to toast bread, to make sandwiches and other things, to make pancakes. So those are my multi-purpose. So we're gonna let these babies get a brown color, and meanwhile, I'm gonna get that avocado and cut it in half. So it's been already clean and washed. Remember sanitation that we talked about in last class? Well, that's very, very important. So we're gonna cut the avocado in half, just like this. Better if we secure on the cutting board, like we talked about last class. And I hope these avocados are good. This one looks a little bit on the green side, but it will have to do. Okay. These are looking good. And I'm gonna teach you. We could do this dish with obviously with an over easy egg, but I want to teach you how to do a mock and very easy poached egg as well. So we can kind of skip a little bit of those calories and maybe use the calories and something else. So let's get a knife and look. This is how I learned how to get a pit out of an avocado when I lived in Mexico. I just go and then twist, and it just comes out beautifully. And to get the flesh out of the avocado, I like to use a spoon. It's a lot easier. So let's go back, pull this down, and let's see if somebody else has more questions. Look at this bread already. It's looking nice and toasty. Let's get some of this beautiful avocado here and see if we can mash it nicely. Any questions? So what is one of the characteristics also of the 1940s in terms of culinary? I think women in general became very resourceful. And I looked at some of the recipes of the 1940s, and one of the common things about them is how they repurpose things, which is something that is dear to me because I believe in zero waste. I don't like to waste anything. I use everything. Okay, let's get these ones. They're ready. And let's put them here so we can plate these babies 2 ways. So. And when I said repurposing things and zero waste, these women are the queens of the stale bread, the queens of the soups made with leftovers and scraps. There are many, many recipes that depict funny things like the yellow salad, mixing yellow gelatin with fruits, with vegetables, and even with meats, which was kind of a little gross. It is also the decade when, although Spam meat was invented in the 1930s, it was until the 1940s when it really took off because, well, it was a cheaper way of getting protein. We also have the potato and hot dog salad. Imagine that. And meatloaf was one of those things that were eaten in that decade. A lot of meatloaf. I think it's obviously ground beef was a lot cheaper than buying a steak, and it could feed tons of people. With all those men and husbands deployed and to Europe, I think those women make, ends meet. I have a lot of admiration for that. Oh, what is the best way to chop an avocado for salads? Sarah is asking, without all mushing it together. Well, I think if you're going to use an avocado for a salad, it's better to use one that is not extremely ripened and is not so soft. When they're too soft, it's hard not to mush them up. I think this avocado that I'm using now would have been perfect for a salad because it still has some bite to it. It's a little bit still it has some body to it. It's not so soft, but when they're soft, they're great for guacamole. One way is to make little slices. I like it in salad in slices, or like I don't know if you have seen how people sometimes cut mangoes, where they cut one slice, cut the other, and then they make little slits, and then they kind of flip the skin inside out, and then you have perfect also diced mangoes or avocados. The same principle applies there. So actually today I had to chop this avocado because it was not as soft as I would have liked to be, but it will have to work. I couldn't find yesterday fully ripened avocado, so this is the best that I can do today. And I told you about a little trick to make the funky poached egg. So I'm gonna show you that right now. We have already our avocado here. We have our toast bread here. Let's get ready with that. And we can make it 2 ways. We can make a fried egg, obviously an over easy egg with very little oil. I have it here going. But I also want to show a different way of doing things, and that's my job, I think, as also as an educator, to teach people how to do things in different ways, and you guys can pick and choose. Okay, so if you want to do it with a little bit of olive oil in the pan, that's fine, but we have another way to do things too. And have you seen this ladle? Yes. Well, we're gonna take a little bit of oil and we're gonna put a little bit of oil in the ladle. just a little bit. And I'm gonna crack an egg, one that we're gonna do over easy and one that we're gonna poach. So you have two different options to do this. So let's very little here and easy and do this. So one egg is going here. I guess you can see that. And I'm gonna crack the other egg here. Let me wash my hands. Remember sanitation. And I show you that I put a little bit of oil in that ladle, very little, just enough to kind of coat it, maybe 2-3 drops. Look, hey, now we're gonna put that egg in there. And we're gonna go with that egg. I'm gonna flip now so you can get a view of the water. I have this water boiling for a while. Can you see the water, guys? Okay, let me move this. So then I'm gonna go inside the water and keep the ladle in. I'm gonna move my okay, and you can see now how that egg is cooking perfectly round and beautiful inside that pot. We're gonna give it a few minutes there. Okay. Then, oh, let's see. We start putting water. Our over easy egg is running on the other side. So can you imagine those women in the 1940s trying to feed a whole crowd of kids with no help, with no husband? I think it was a very difficult time, and something that really caught my attention about this week is how strong women became during that decade, and that kind of propelled the feminist movement and the fight of women for equal rights, equal pay. I mean, that kind of passed from the 1940s to all the subsequent decades. I think I would like to honor those women with this meal. So, look, this is looking very, very nice now. I'm gonna let now the ladle sink in there and cook for a few minutes. I'm gonna use this. Our little egg here is almost done. And meanwhile, I'm gonna turn it off with residual heat. That should be ready in no time. So let's plate this beautiful toast so we can go back to our pancakes. I'm gonna make two. I'm gonna make one with the poached egg and one with the over easy egg. Okay, so and I'm gonna put a little bit of spinach on the side because, well, because it's good. And always green makes me feel that, you know, I'm eating something wholesome and healthy. So why not? Let's do this. And let's cut a few tomatoes because tomatoes are full of lycopene. and they're good for you. So let's bring this back to here and cut some tomatoes. Put them there just to add some color. It just looks beautiful. Makes the whole thing nicer. Yes. Good. And let's put our avocado on top. And look, if you want to have a vegan version of this, very easy. Take some tofu, that I do all the time as well, some tofu. You scramble that tofu with some maybe mushrooms or spinach or onions and tomatoes. And then you put that on top of that toast and avocado. And that's delicious. You can also put some Mexican salsa. You know, the sky is the limit. We don't have to do it my way here. This is just an idea, and definitely better than the toast and margarine that these women had to prepare in the 1940s. How things have evolved in all those years, huh? I think that is pretty amazing. So we have here, we have our little egg that looks beautiful and delicious. We can put a little bit of balsamic vinegar on that salad. What do you think? Is that good? I think so. And touch of salt on that egg, and a little bit of, you know me, and spices. I need some heat on that. I would like a little bit of flakes. Chili flakes will be great on that. Here, there you go. And let's get our poached egg. Look how funky is this poached egg. It's right there inside the ladle. Can you guys see it? Okay. Now, let's do the following. We're going to just go and release it. It's perfectly cooked. Still nice and soft in the center. Beautiful. And I'm going to get a spoon and help myself. And we use almost no fat whatsoever. Look how pretty is that. Woo! Let's move this. And show you how these beauties are here. Another thing that you can use, you have any leftovers from your night before? I love leftover and repurposing, like the women of the 1940s. So I have these mushrooms that I cooked for lunch, just and some spinach. We could add that on top as well. And that will make a wonderful addition and extra non-animal protein. So how about that? So little here. Shall we put those mushrooms in there? I think so. Chris wants to know, how long do tomatoes keep in the kitchen after you buy or pick them? Well, buying is one thing. Picking them from your garden is a different thing. If you pick them from your garden, probably they will last longer. They're fresher. When they get to the grocery store, they have been through a trip. Many times they are ripened not naturally on the vine, but they're ripened with some kind of gas. So the lifespan of those tomatoes is not the same. Do I put sometimes tomatoes in the refrigerator? Yes, because I buy big quantities. But if I buy a whole box and I can use it and make sauces or can them, it's a different story. So it's kind of difficult to tell. I mean, with the right temperature and not mixing the tomatoes with other fruits or vegetables next to them, they might last you a little longer, but I don't always leave them outside unless it's just a few that I can eat in a few 2 or 3 days, then it's okay. Mary wants to know, how could I do when I do guacamole because turn brown soon? Well, I use the lime juice in it, and I do put a pit on it. And I don't know if it really works or not, but it seems to do well. And I also put a film of plastic or saran wrap on top, and it does help because what happens is a fruit like apples and pears, they tend to oxidize. So it's the air and the oxygen touching that will probably produce that. So by putting some acid ingredient, it slows that process. So that might work. Okay, who else? Chris wants to know, so no water inside the ladle when poaching the egg. Well, you can do it the professional way, which you do like a spin inside the water and then you throw the egg. But I did a cheating way to teach you guys how to do it. Okay, and that, yes, at the beginning I just put the ladle touching the water, but once the egg kind of congeals a little, then I drop the ladle and then let the water cover the whole egg and cook. And I just took it out right now. I have these mushrooms here that we can put on the side if you want the extra protein. I think it's a delicious addition to the dish. It just gives you a complete, beautiful brunch. Imagine, who wouldn't like this on a Sunday morning, huh? If my husband shows up with this at bed, ooh, I love him even more than what I love him now. So, the moment of truth, let's see how this tastes like. And then we'll go with the other one, because time is of the essence. So, let's see. Look at this poached egg. Look at the other one. This one could have probably taken out a little bit earlier. We were chit-chatting here. So there you go. I'm gonna go for it. Mmm. Mmm. This is so yummy. I can eat breakfast for dinner. And look how balanced this plate is. How many colors it has. We have here our carbohydrates in the toast, grains inside the toast, which add some or lots of protein. We have that egg, we have that avocado, we have those greens and tomatoes and some mushrooms and spinach in there. I think it's perfect for me. Mmm. Mmm. Okay. I have lots to do. Yum. Okay. Let me get the batter from the refrigerator and let's get this fired up. There you go. And you can see here my stove and my griddle going. Maybe a little bit of oil, just with a little towel. We don't need to do a lot, just a little. Or also you can use some of the good spray one, which is, make sure that nothing sticks to your pan. Either way, I'm giving you guys two options. I like to use Ice cream scoopers. I love because it helps you make perfect pancakes, all the same size. It gives you consistency in the product. So this is hot. We're gonna get, this is about 2 ounces, which is a perfect size. 1 pancake, 2 pancakes, and 3 pancakes. And I'm gonna do the following because we want them to be nice and fluffy, but also cooked all the way through. We don't want uncooked, soggy pancakes either. So in order to get that, make sure that they're not so thick so they can cook all the way through. Look at this. And have any one of you heard about Rosie the Riveter? That icon from the 1940s, and that was basically the lady in a blue overall with a bandana, pretty much like the ones I use, very strong, and she was used as a catch for women to encourage women to go and work. So Rosie the Riveters even got a song, and he talks about how strong she was and how she went to the factories and how hard she worked. I think Rosie the Riveters became the persona or the caricature that also helped propel the women's movement. Chris asks, do you ever put a sauce or cheese on the avocado toast? It's your choice. If you want to put a little bit of cheese in there, I think it's very tasty. So, just make sure how much more calories you want to add to that toast. We already have some very good and delicious fat with the avocado. We have some with the egg as well. All good. What kind of cheese do we want to add? We want to add maybe a little bit of a pungent cheese. I like feta because it's a little salty and it's strong, so you don't have to put a lot of it. Another thing that I really would like to put on that toast, maybe a little bit of smoked salmon, maybe. That would be good. I think that's a very, very good idea. How about some beans? That's a good idea. That's a good vegan idea. Any other questions? I guess not. Let's see how these pancakes are coming out. We can now flip them. Ooh, look how beautiful. I think they look awesome. Awesome. Beautiful. And let me tell you, I already tried them, and my kids too, and they gave the seal of approval. Another thing that we like to do is maybe we talked about the contrabando. I will put there probably even some chia seeds. And what I did is I have a couple of fruits just to play this and to add color and make it tastier. And I had some strawberries that were not very good and some blueberries that just they didn't look that nice. So I basically boiled them and added 2 tablespoons of monk fruit. And on another pan, I just soaked a little bit, just like this, maybe 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, and then I mixed them all. And it gave me the texture of a jam or a compote, and that's what we're gonna put on top of those pancakes now. They're gonna be fabulous, fabulous. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. This is so good. So good. So good. So you can add a little bit of low-fat cottage cheese, little extra protein, and a leaner So let's start plating these babies too. So we have here a couple of different fruits. Let's show you what I chose. Because, you know, colors is everything. We want as many colors in our plate as possible. Each one gives you a different nutrient, different antioxidant. These babies, blueberries, I love them. We have here some strawberries, some kiwi. Always something green. Since yesterday we celebrated St. Patrick's, we needed something green today. So we had the avocado in the other one, and now we have the kiwi here. Look at these pancakes. They're so beautiful and golden color now. So let's do it. One, and let's overlap them so they look beautiful. And three. They are fully cooked now. And yes, I am gonna go for the cottage cheese. I'm gonna use a little bit of cottage cheese, a little bit of low fat, just a tiny touch. 1 tablespoon, no more than that. Remember, we need to be very careful also with our portion. Too much of a good thing is sometimes not a good thing. But I like the saltiness, that the little saltiness with the savory with the sweetness. I'm sorry, both, they just blend really well. One thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is what we need to do in our breakfast. We need really good choices, make really good choices when we cook breakfast. We need to eat fiber because it keeps our tummy fuller for a longer period of time. We need protein. Since it's the first meal that we have during the day, you know, we need to put inside our body something that will keep us full for a long time, that is nutritious, that is not gonna give us a spike in our blood sugar. I have to say that I was extremely surprised when I moved to the US, and I saw that most of the breakfasts that people like are the sweet breakfasts instead of the savory. And one of the things from one of the previous decades to the 1940s is we started in the 40s this trend of processed food, of more baked goods than the previous egg and maybe the piece of ham. Although greasy and maybe heavy breakfasts, they were strong and they will last and kept people full throughout the day, which is actually a good thing. When you eat breakfast, you are happier throughout the day. You are strong. You probably are not as cranky. Your memory is better. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And here, there you go. We're done with our pancakes. Shall we try them? I think so. Let's see. So, the moment of truth. Look at that. Can you guys see? I think so. Awesome. Awesome. This is so good. So good. And last but not least, let's talk about the arepas. And this recipe is going to be super, super easy. I can do this almost on my sleep because, well, we do them all the time in my country. And what is an arepa? An arepa is pretty much a fat tortilla. Let's put it that way. If you have eaten Mexican gorditas, well, they are similar, but not the same. They both are made with cornmeal, and we're going to use this one. Why? because this is the original one, the one that is used by all Venezuelans, and is completely gluten-free because it's only corn. One of the issues yesterday when I went to find the ingredients for this, some of the American corn meals, they are mixed with wheat flour, and I was like, I mean, I said, why? You know, this is a completely gluten-free product, and it's actually made out of white hominy. You can see it's white corn, and we're gonna make just a little bit so you can see how is the process. I'm gonna use half a cup, and usually the ratio is for every part you do double and a half. So we have here half a cup, so we're gonna put maybe a cup and a quarter of water and a pinch of salt. That's it. You don't need anything else to make a traditional Venezuelan arepa. That's all. The secret is what you put inside that arepa, what it makes it really delicious. So let's do a pinch of salt, pink salt in here. Remember, we're gonna add a lot of water to that. So remember, I'm not trying to sell harina pan, but that's the best one to do this. Yes, you can use other harinas, and I put them here, but they will never give you the same result. Yes, you can use maseca. Similar, but different. So we're gonna add some water. And here I have, and I said approximately 2.5. So I'm going 1, I'm going 2, but it's a lot about feeling the dough. How can you manage to work it? So here, and yes, please use your hands. So at the beginning, it looks really, really watery. And then, like many products, like chia seeds and others, they start, getting thick. Look. And let's leave it there. I have already one that I made earlier, and look how thick it becomes. That's how it looks. So I'm gonna probably put it there and put it together and start forming those, because time is of the essence, and I know that we're getting close to the end of our broadcast. So let's get it going. Remember, if the dough is too soft, you can always add a little bit more dough. This is one of those things that you just do it with your hands. You test your dough, and there you go. It just takes a little bit of time to make the dough stiff enough. Few minutes, and let's add a little bit more and work it. And you add, you can add to this even already inside. You can put some cheese, but I like to put the cheese after I make the arepas. You can even mix the dough with a little bit of milk, but why? It's just a perfectly simple bread. It's a flat bread. It's a humble bread. The bread of the people in my country and also in Colombia. So you just do this, and you can make it thin or you can make it as fat as you want. Yeah, thick. There you go. Now we have our, you can see now, and finish them up here. And they cook super fast. So ooh, somebody, Don, can wait for the arepas. Yes. Well, you can see how easy they are to make. This has no complication, nothing to it. We're gonna add all the other flavorings just when we serve them. And we can add anything to an arepa. It's so versatile. It's like our perfect little sandwich. We can add black beans, cheese, turkey, piece of lean ham, stewed chicken, shredded beef, chicken salad, tuna. You know, the sky is the limit, honestly. So look at these beautiful round flat arepas. And yes, you can make them also with yellow cornmeal. They have yellow cornmeal, but the traditional ones that Venezuelan people eat are the white ones. We use the yellow cornmeal also, but not as often. Yellow cornmeal is mostly used for our Christmas tamales called hallacas. So look at this. Oh my goodness. My goodness. And again, let's wash our hands. Sanitation. Here is my towel. And let's see. Any questions there from the viewers? Oh, you guys are hungry. I cannot say that because I've been trying many of these things. So, but my kids are probably desperate to come in and dig in. So, how do you know that they're ready? Well, they will have a sound that is kind of hollow. And sometimes they even also kind of puffed up like a tortilla. So it's not very difficult to figure out that they're ready. Yes. And so, my viewers, any questions? How hot the griddle is? Woo! Here is pretty hot. Actually, I wanted to show you the traditional griddle that we use in Venezuela. This is really funky looking. Look, it has buckled a little bit, but I didn't, I was kind of ashamed to put that good old thing on the screen. Probably I should have, because this is the right one. So it's like a Mexican comal, kind of, but instead of being of cast iron, this one is aluminum, and it has been cured. So this has taken a lot of beat and cooking and burning and all of that. But that's why it now is like this, and it's perfect for cooking because nothing gets stuck to it. I love it's called budare, my budare. So there you go. Look at this. But you can use any frying pan, cast iron pan, comal, Teflon pan, ceramic pan. You remember, I don't have the perfect way of doing things. Whatever works for you guys. I'm giving you ideas, and this is a great breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on what you put inside. It changes. Look at that. Almost done. Oh my goodness. I can wait. And let's see what we're gonna put in the arepa. Look, I have here some quesito fresco, fresh white cheese, which is quite traditional. Venezuela has some of the most delicious white cheeses, fresh cheeses. Most of them are unpasteurized, but they are quite fantastic. Obviously, the ones that we find here in the US are pasteurized. By law, we cannot have that. But I feel that the flavor changes, It's not the same, but I'm fortunate to have those cheeses available now here. 26 years ago, when I came to the US, I couldn't find any of those things. And it was sad. I had to make my arepa sometimes with the masa of polenta, the Italian cornmeal, because I couldn't find anything. And then I discovered maseca, and then I started making my arepas with the Mexican maseca. And then, we started getting our harina pan. And that is a wonderful thing, to be able to cook the things of our childhood with the right ingredients. Is there cheese made with cow milk or sheep milk? No, this is a cow milk product. Yeah. And you find so many of them. You know, there are a lot of international stores. Even Harvest Market carries a lot of the Venezuelan cheeses, but made here in accordance to the sanitary rules of the United States. So you can find, but if you find a panela cheese from Mexico, it's quite similar. A cotija cheese is one that is very similar to a salty cheese in Venezuela called palmisulia. So you find other versions. Also, we eat this with like a fermented milk called suero, which is so delicious. And another thing that I wanted to share with you guys is how different breakfasts are in other parts of the world. My husband, I mentioned last time, is Lebanese, and a breakfast for a Lebanese person has like fava beans with olive oil and cumin and olives, pieces of cheese, and some kind of thick yogurt and a little piece of bread. So breakfasts in most part of the world are actually not sweet. They are savory and they are quite filling and, you know, stronger. I think our lifestyle of being on the go all the time have changed a lot of things. And maybe one of the good things about me being here with Common Threads is that I have the opportunity to show dishes like this one that are good options for breakfast. Look how beautiful they are. Now, they're starting to sound. Can you hear that? When they sound hollow, it means they are ready, and we're ready for it. So, let's get my tricolor, my beautiful Venezuelan dish. So we're gonna put those arepas here. Maybe put the cheese on one side, so if anybody else wants more cheese, they can have it. Let's bring the screen down. Yes, we can have. This is a panela cheese, what I found today at the grocery store. And look, they are now kind of getting, they're opening up. So look, I know this is hot for you guys, but I am used to doing this. This is my thing. And probably some Mexican women will say, yeah, I do the same with the tortillas. They are piping hot, but my hands can take it. So don't do that at home, okay? Please don't. You get maybe a little towel, and maybe I can show it with a towel, because they are quite hot. So a clean one. And then we're gonna open this baby up. I think I'm clumsier with the towel than with my own hand, but hey. And let's put some cheese. And let's get these ones out as well, so you can see them here displayed. These are Venezuelan arepas. Okay? And I'm gonna take the one that I just filled up with cheese. And remember what I said, you can put whatever you want. And I'm gonna give it a try, okay? Mmm. 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 This is fantastic. Mmm. So what I want you guys to leave today with is that you have options for breakfast that are not only muffins or donuts or kolaches. There are many, many things. And I encourage you to go into our website, Common Bites, and check all these different recipes from all over the world, not only for breakfast, but for other meals, lunch and dinner, snacks and other things. Get inspired, get bold, stay healthy, stay safe, and happy Women's Day, because it was this month that we're celebrating. I'm going to say it was the month. And I am so happy that I was here with you guys celebrating the 1940s, which is the decade that basically ignited the women's revolution and the feminist movement. Because of those women is that we are now where we are and the rights that we have. So I am extremely touched and so happy to have done this with you guys. Love you all, and I hope to see you next month with the 1950s and other wonderful recipes. Big kisses, and it's back to you, Taylor. Don't forget to do the survey. It will take only a minute.
Thank you so much, Chef Nebraska. I'm excited to make these recipes. That avocado toast looked incredible. Thanks to all of you for being here with us tonight. Again, in an effort to better understand the community they are serving, Common Threads does have a quick survey that should take less than 1 minute to complete. The link is in the chat, so please take the time to fill out this quick survey for them. And please follow them on social media for future events. And once again, please visit our website at hcpl.net to learn about all of our upcoming programs and services. Thank you.